So today we invited Ludovic and Joel. We're here to talk about biotech. I heard you've been pretty busy. So Xavier talked about the importance of those elevator pitch. That's definitely part of the District 3 mantra. Okay, let's do that. Who wants to do their 60-second elevator pitch?
I can go ahead actually for the elevator pitch. And I should say we're part of District 3, very happy to be part of District 3. We're working in the BioHub and I'm really excited to hear that District 3 is focusing on biomanufacturing because that's definitely something and a space that we want to actually go into. But in terms of elevator pitch, really to take back the words of Xavier, everything's protein, right? So we work in the space of helping researchers rapidly validate the integrity of biological products like antibodies, like protein. And these are key ingredients in a lot of COVID-19 research. So I'll give you an example. Joelle, who you briefly saw, she's a professor at the University of Montreal, and she does research on protein engineering. And she spends thousands of dollars on these ingredients yearly, right, to buy protein antibodies. And what's very important for Joelle is that she needs a reliable supply of proteins and antibodies. And also often she has to mix and match different suppliers. Now, the problem is there's a lot of variation from batch to batch from one supplier and obviously across suppliers. And a study found that 3 out of 4 commercial antibodies were mostly not performing as expected. So when you look at it, this is an industry level problem. So Affinity provides lab like Joelle a solution to quickly test and ensure the quality and integrity of the biologics. Our innovation is based on surface plasma on resonance, so it can deliver a response within minutes compared to traditional techniques like ELISA that can take up to days. And this solution can not only help research lab in academia, also in CROs and pharma, but also it addresses issues. It can address issues upstreams in the bioproduction in terms of the quality control. And it touched a little bit on what Xavier was talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, that makes sense. So B2B, saying like you waste too much time right now and risk too much in the variation of your proteins, let's say providers, and you want to stabilize, you want to remove that risk. I have a question in that case for Joelle. What do you wish you kind of knew when you started that business venture? Because of course there's a part that you work on the tech itself, but there's also a whole part which is the business itself. What was kind of a today's Joelle advice for past Joelle when she started that?
Well, I'm not sure I would change anything. I think that I was a researcher with a need. I was representative of many other researchers having the same need. So I knew what that need was. That's my role. And I had never started up a business. And I think, it's a hard road. It's a long road. And you have to learn as you go. But mostly it's about individuals. It's about having the correct individuals who are helping and filling out all the aspects where you just don't know. You have to be a team. So what I want to know now, there's too much. I think you just go in with your energy and get a great team.
I like that. It's all about the process. It's like there's not a case where you can know everything. It's just get in there and kind of trust your team, yourself. It's great that you mentioned team. People often see that as a me myself. I have to fight against our army. And in practice, it's all about doing it in the context of a team in that environment. Speaking of those environments, a place like a BioHub wants to simplify that collaboration. Help startups expand. What is the potential of a specific location like the BioHub that didn't exist? In the past here, at least in Montreal. What do you think it will help and simplify in the future?
Yeah, I'll take that question. First, I should say that we really miss, again, Xavier was talking about collision, a space to talk to other entrepreneurs, to investors, people in the space. We really miss that interaction right now due to COVID. And obviously, health's first. So having a space like the BioHub where you can go in and really be hands-on. Science, startups, it's really a hands-on endeavor. and going there, having the opportunity to have access to a lab, have access to very expensive resources that usually it would be very difficult to have access to, and be able to test, validate an idea, sometimes an idea that you have, sometimes an idea that comes from a potential customer, and be able to do that demonstration, which is really key, right? And that's one part of the equation, and I think that the other part is having an ecosystem or other companies, other people with whom you can either validate ideas quickly or equally important, kill them quickly.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's as we said, it's part of that process. Going back to this space, what is, since we have Xavier with us, what is this kind of, what should the bio hub look towards in order to, what kind of resources, what kind of support, help, coaching, at least in your experience right now, you as Affinity Instruments, as a moral entity, what is the thing that by far is the main objective on your radar, that like the kind of help and support you need? Where should it be aiming at right now?
Yeah, I mean, first in terms of support, I would just simply say that we got a lot of great support from District 3, and I would say especially mentoring. Our mentor at Definite Instruments is Edna Chosag, and she's been wonderful. We've been with her for a certain time now, and it's just very good to have an honest opinion about your ideas, your strategy, where you want to go, and part of what we really need as a company to grow and to scale. I mean, I would just turn back to a little bit of our philosophy and to say that, as a startup, we're limited in resources, but definitely not limited in terms of ideas and really what we want to achieve. So we always start with the position of, what's best if we want to hire the top talent, work with the top suppliers, and jump on, great opportunities local and abroad. And with that perspective, we lay out our goals, and then we do what's right, and not necessarily look at what's going to be a return in a very short term. And what we're looking for at the moment is also investors who are excited in building, working with a company that is exciting to build a very strong ecosystem, push forward exciting technology, and they want to do it because it's the right thing to do, right? So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we do.
And maybe the other side of that question, there are things for which a biohub or any kind of place like that can help entrepreneurs, but there are things that they cannot help you, right? It's the limits, that is your own path that you have to do by yourself. So maybe for Joël, what are things that a space like Biohub or any incubator or accelerator just cannot help you with? That's definitely, it's your own fight.
Well, of course, basic research has to be done in a different area, a different arena, and it's complementary to what is done with respect to the innovation, the engineering that can be done in the Biohub. What's fantastic about spaces like the Biohub is really to meet people who will feed you the ideas that you didn't even know it existed. So particularly for us, some engineering ideas can be really, really propel us forward in ways that we wouldn't even have thought of. So this is, I think, they're very distinct spaces, and if without something like the Biohub, you just can't go there alone, not as a researcher.
Yeah, it's true. It starts there, and it's a good reminder saying like those locations are there to help you, but you have to bring some work in there with you when you start, and there's also limits within that. You live it?
And I would add an extra point. Actually, there's both sides. I mean, Joël covered the part of research that you need to do a lot of proof of concept and then expand on it. I think that the other part of the equation is commercialization, right? Like you often don't need to wait until you have a perfect product to go out, like, dealing with a market, presenting your company, talking to people, talking to investors, talking to potential customer, knocking at doors, having doors closed on your face. All these things are like, real things you have to address as soon as possible, because it's the whole continuum that you have to cover from, proof of concept, product development, commercialization to make something that is successful. So I think that the Biohub is certainly an important part, moving, from proof of concept towards commercialization. But also there's this whole other part that, as a company, you have to go through your network, you have to do your due diligence, you have to do your business development.
And
very
I would back up, I back up both, but I highlight specifically what was just said now, what Ludovic was saying. In the world of science, product development is not something that happens instantaneously. It's not, I'm not putting up an app and I can, have 4 coders work 24 hours a day for the weekend and boom, they pop up something. It just doesn't work that way in biology, specifically, but in deeper science in general as well. And so that doesn't mean that you should be in your lab. You need to get out of the lab and you need to go out and see your clients. You need to animate your ecosystem. You need to get them to be ready to be adopting your product. And so it's a big journey. It's a very intense one. Sometimes a very frustrating one, as Ludovic was mentioning. You get, doors slammed in your face, but you also get doors open that you never would have thought would have opened as well. So,
yeah, getting out of your lab. And maybe before we go to the next section, I have one question. It's a tricky one in the world of startups. Everybody wants to succeed, and Xavier, definitely one of your experience there. Is there such thing as going too fast? Cases of like fantastic ideas, but the cruising speed is slightly too fast for the team, and it's not going towards good.
What you bring up is a thematic that is often talked about in the world of innovation. Is your market ready to adopt you?
Is your the team ready to deal with all the changes too? Right. Yeah. At some point, it's not just research anymore. It's clients, business. Growing a team, hiring people. Is that something that startups are ready?
Well, it's. Think of it, COVID right now. Look how much this whole event has accelerated the adoption of us being on Zoom today, right? And so not Zoom. Sorry, I used the wrong name. To be on video live, and so within that context, that's been great benefit for a lot of people. And it's the same in any innovation space. Is your market ready for you? And that's one of the things you need to get out of the building for. You need to see what is it that they're ready for. And they're not necessarily ready for what you thought of, but maybe they're ready for something else you can provide.